a lot of that physicality and toughness that you had to get to rebound wasn't there. But the reality was we knew this and we needed to be tougher and we needed to be more physical, and we weren't all night long. And that's something that we have to keep addressing because that has been a point of emphasis since the St. Francis game. We've been pretty good up until tonight. And, it's again, it's disappointing because we did, in my opinion, I didn't think we played well. And to Louisville's credit, they probably took us out of some of the things we wanted to do. But the one bright spot was Femi. Femi came in the first half. X got in a little bit of foul trouble, and he gave us quite a lift. And one of the things we knew coming into the game is we thought we needed Xavier, IT, and Nike to really kind of have a big night. And obviously, I think Louisville knew that too, so they weren't going to let that happen. But when Femi came in and gave us that huge lift, it was a tremendous thing for us, especially going forward, because you're getting productivity out of young guys. And that was, John had 7 rebounds tonight, and Femi had the 16. And, one thing I just told these guys, you're off to Christmas and stay happy and healthy and all that good stuff. But welcome to the ACC, especially for the freshmen, because it's the new guys. Because next up is Duke. It doesn't get any easier. And so there's a lot to learn, and we're going to move forward. And we're excited to get Kate back.
Tim, when did you guys find out about Justin? Such relatively short notice. Did it make preparing for a game like this?
Well, the reality was this is kind of sport, right? This is what you learn, and you've always got to take adversity and turning it into an opportunity, and that's what we try to do. Both of those guys got hurt on Sunday in practice. I think it was Sunday. Yeah, we went Saturday, we went Sunday. And then we found that yesterday, that they both weren't going to play. But the reality is they're out, next man up. It's kind of like football philosophy. And probably it's easier said than done. But then the reality is when we come back, after Christmas, it just gets harder. And that's the one thing for young guys. The planning is the same. Louisville is young, but you need to come out and you need to come ready, and you need to fight like heck against all these people. And we didn't sustain that over the course of the game. And that's something we're going to have to keep working on, especially when we're down men.
Tim, what do you think clicked for you guys after that slow start that maybe made it realize that you guys could play with Louisville? It just seemed like you guys weren't ready for it at the beginning.
Femi, that was the one thing. I think, sometimes you're going to take on that, or at least for, we knew going in, X, you don't have to carry the team right now, or Nike or IT. It's one of these things where we kind of got to work our way through it. We got off where we were struggling to score, and then Femi came in. And then before you know it, Femi, because he has such moxie as a guard, and he's just a young guy. But he gave everybody this huge lift, and we got a little bit more confident. And again, this was Noah's first start, and John played big minutes, and so did Fem, and we knew we had some gaps to fill, some holes we had to fill that void, and thank God Femi did, but it wasn't enough to sustain it. We had our opportunities, we just didn't capitalize, especially late in the second half.
Tim, over the course of the next 2 games, where do you find those points without Justin and Audis?
Well, I think the same thing. I don't think this is any shock. I think IT, X, and Nike have got to step up. I think John's got to be a presence. AK, he did some good things, but we've got to keep finding ways. Maybe we have to slow it down, and we got to pick it up to gain more possessions. And get it in transition. What I mean by that was the thing when we couldn't rebound. We couldn't even get out. And when we did it, we were sluggish with it. So we're going to have to keep looking at all different things, but the backcourt's got to be the strength, at least right now.
Tim, how's Jeff doing, and how much were you in conversation with him today about, what the game plan was and that kind of thing?
Well, yeah. Well, first, Jeff is doing well. He's kind of fatigued a lot, right? So you don't want to beat him up too much, but I was calling him last night, all night. I was calling him today. Any other ideas, especially in playing Louisville, and tendencies and thoughts, and and what he mentioned, and we weren't able to do it was, well, I take that back. We did at times. We wanted to make them uncomfortable. And so when you look at the stat sheet, um, they were 4 for 17, but they haven't been shooting the ball well. Jones, who's really good, was 3 for 12 and had 11. And so I thought we did a pretty good job on him. Johnson was the one that killed us, and then the rebounding. I mean, the 45, to 26, that was, what broke. It just breaks your back because you get your stops and then you can't get the ball, and gives them extra opportunities, and eventually we just couldn't sustain it.
Coach, in a game like this where you're without your head coach and then two of your better players, how do you kind of evaluate or, how much stock do you put into a game like this?
I think you put a lot of stock into it because the reality is this. Part of the culture that Jeff is trying to build, that we're all trying to build when we came here, was that there's 4 major pillars. They are, we appreciate what we have. And then especially this holiday, Jeff being sick, it's like, no, this is like, we appreciate what we have. We have opportunities. We're an amazing institution. We're an amazing city. And we're trying to restore pride. So fine. Number 2, we're going to keep our promises. Now what we do, we're here to build this into a national powerhouse, and we're not there yet, but that's the goal. We show up. And we did show up, but we kind of were in and out a little bit today. But lastly, going back to your question about this game, we will make no excuses. None. And so the reality is we're down 2 men. Okay, this is part of, you got to be resilient. The word I use, especially when I think of this city, is the word gritty. There's a toughness, but it's passion and it's perseverance combined. And not only that, you can be tough, but grit, you're successful. And that's what kind of hurts me tonight was we weren't gritty enough to win. And so you'll look at this film, and the natural tendency for our young guys is to kind of feel sorry for themselves. But the reality is, as soon as we get back from Christmas, there's absolutely zero feeling sorry for yourselves. These are the things that we did, we have to correct, because what awaits you is Duke. Then after that is ND. And then I think it's Florida State. I mean, it doesn't get easier. So there's a mindset that you have to have, and I don't care who you are in our locker room, that you have to bring in tremendous value, and you better be unbelievably tough, because that's what this league requires, that's what this team requires, that's what this city requires, that's what this university. And so, we're gonna look through this and find all these nooks and crannies, because that's the only way we're gonna get better.
We talked to Jeff a few weeks ago, and he said he wasn't really sure of the plan about Christmas, about sending guys home. Are the guys going home for Christmas?
They are. We, it's funny, there's so many different things that are happening now, especially with letting these guys go home. Do we keep them here? Do we not? Do we do this? We do, whatever. We get tested. It's almost every day. And the reality is, for our guys, they've been up here for a while. There's no one here. There's no one around at school. And then, I know Jeff was really concerned. It's there's got to be some normalcy somewhere. And the holidays, even to send him home. So he did come to that decision over the weekend. And they are going to go back, and we're testing right now. And I forget what the ACC, the rules are, but we're going to do that with the protocol. And we're going to test it three times, whatever it is, before we play Duke. And but they are going to go home, and they're going to need it. And I hope they enjoy that time, because it's as you get older, you realize how valuable that time is. And then the reality for our sport, though, is usually Thanksgiving and Christmas, you're pretty much preoccupied with games. And but that's part of our maturity. We got a lot of young guys, and you're gonna have to learn, and you got to get right back on the horse. And so they, you got your 48 hours or whatever it is for Christmas, and then we're right back at them. But
Tim, this is like another time where Xavier Johnson got into foul trouble early, and he fouled out in this game. What have you guys been seeing that's been leading to that, and how are you guys trying to help him correct it and get out of those situations?
Yeah, so again, some of them, they're just kind of like reaches, and what I mean, he's got such instinct that he just tries to go grab something, and then also he got the charges early on, and now we'll go back and see him, because the reality is, you knew Louisville, this is what they do. They are going to try to take charges. They're gapped up. They're sitting in those lanes. If you leave your feet, they're going to be there. And, part of it, when if you're a team preparing for Pitt, X is the first guy on your list. And so the reality is, they're going to throw a lot of different things at you, and you got to understand that you might have to alter what you do, because, it's just these guys are going to throw everything at you, including the kitchen sink. and he got in foul trouble with the charges, and then the reaches were just kind of sloppy.
All right, you're good to go, Coach.